Hi, everyone, and welcome to Design in Mind, where we have conversations on everyday creativity, life design, social innovation, and the mindsets that support them. Today, I am so excited to welcome Helen Thacker to our conversation. Helen is a business leader, a mother of two, and she's very inspiring as someone that's leading her own way and sharing her story on being open to change and pivoting in life and really paving your own path. So Helen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Bridget, all the way from the UK. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you for the lovely introduction as well. Yeah, just really hope that I can give some value today to everybody that's listening or watching us. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Oh, I know that you absolutely will. Helen has so many just really neat tricks that she teaches to other business leaders and to other folks that are creating their own path. But I also really love your story, Helen. Could you kind of tell us the origin story, if you will, of kind of what brought you here? And
Sure. Yeah, so I had a bit of a mix of careers over my time. I'm certainly not one of those people that's done a traditional kind of do a job, stay in a job for life, and kind of progress through that company or anything. To be honest, I really never knew where I wanted to go until really very recently in the company that I'm working for right now and the business and the industry that I'm in at the moment. And I genuinely feel that it's found me, even at this kind of middle stage in my life, as it were. It has taken till now, but I truly believe that every single kind of experience, everything that I've learned up to then was completely leading to this point. I don't know whether anybody's read a book called The Range. It's an incredible book where it talks about this whole concept of not becoming a specialist in something, but actually having a lot of different diverse backgrounds and different experiences and learning experiences that lead to something that makes you actually such a rounded person. It's kind of going against that 10,000 hours kind of concept of having to really specialize in something. So yeah, to go back to kind of where I came from. So I grew up in a really kind of very middle class, lovely childhood background. I had, on the surface, everything that anybody could ever want growing up. It was the perfect kind of situation. Inside, it was a different story. So I had quite a difficult childhood, lots of things going on in the house. And I think lots of people have a similar story, kind of things on the surface looking perfect, like, great holidays, great cars. I had a really great education. I was really, really fortunate, but actually I did grow up with quite a challenging situation. I'm not going to go into now. It's not really relevant, but it certainly made me extremely resilient. And that resilience that I had to then carry forward into my life has completely made me who I am. And although it was a really difficult teenage years particularly, I'm so grateful. And I know that sounds very cliched, but I've had a lot of work, I've a lot of help, and I've had a lot of looking back and reflecting. And that resilience has absolutely made me who I am today and given me that level of success, because I've always been so determined to kind of break away from that and do my own thing, and also to have something that was my own, that was really successful, and also as a mum to provide a situation that was completely different from the one that I had growing up. So I went to a really good university over in the UK. It's Durham University, did a degree there and left there. Had absolutely no clue what I wanted to do, like I said. I really was honestly one of those people that kind of graduates and think, what on earth am I going to do? I just had no kind of passion or no kind of direction of what I was good at, what my skills were, what I was really passionate about. Nothing kind of matched. So I went down that traditional route like lots of people do, especially kind of their parents direct them, and you don't really challenge that, do you, when you're 16, 18, 21? I think, it takes quite a strong character at that young age, because it is a young age, to stand on your own 2 feet and say, well, actually, do you know what? I'm going to stand there and question, is this the right direction for me? So I did the whole traditional thing of basically applying for all the good jobs that my parents were really going to make them proud and all that kind of thing. And I ended up basically working at a huge accountancy firm called PricewaterhouseCoopers, that you might have heard of. And I was probably the worst accountant in the whole wide world. So it's kind of just where I landed, and I just was not happy. I went from that into financial recruitment, and that's really when my business kind of, the business side of me started coming out, and I saw an opportunity to actually start my own financial recruitment business, and broke away from the company that I was working for and decided to do my own thing. I thought, I can do the same thing. I'm going to do this for myself, and started working from home. So that was my kind of career until I had my boys. Again, it was like this path just leading me kind of down this route completely unexpectedly. And again, not really knowing what I wanted to do. I just knew all along that I wanted to be self-sufficient. I wanted to provide. I wanted to be very much a contributor to the financial, the family income and that kind of thing. But how I was going to do that, I didn't know. And I think it took a lot of people in my family and my friends by surprise. They're like, hang on a minute, where did this come from? Where did this kind of drive? Where did this ability to have your own business come from? So that was my first kind of step into the business world, and actually having that independence and taking control of my own destiny, as it were. And then I took a break to have my boys, and then I was in that whole situation where I think a lot of parents are, especially mums, you know, I don't want to be stereotypical, but often it is the mom who stays at home and is the, you know, the caretaker of the children, while the poor dads have to go out, and they don't really have a choice, they have to go out and keep working. So I was a stay-at-home mum for a couple of years, and then obviously really wanted to get back on the career ladder. Didn't want to go back to what I was doing before. It just wasn't practical, and was really searching for something that both enabled me to have the financial income, but also be present with my boys. So I remember me and my husband sitting down at home saying, what can I do? What can I do from home? So fate again stepped in, or whatever you want to say, call it the universe, you know, divine intervention. And one of the other mums at school invited me to make cakes for her cafe. She had a coffee shop. And that's how I started a cake business. So I literally turned a hobby, something I really love doing, actually, always loved baking, into a business. And I ended up actually creating a wedding cake design company that was really, really successful. Did that for 6 years. And again, it's kind of always been driven to make us huge success, whatever it is. I've never done it before, never really done anything professionally in the food industry, certainly not in cake making. And I ended up in Vogue magazine, ended up kind of making, you know, having a couple of awards. And I just always, whatever I put my mind to, I always have had this drive behind me. Again, I think stemming back from my childhood of just really wanting to show the world I could do it, I guess, and prove people wrong or right that I was okay. So ended up doing this business anyway. There was always going to be a limit to businesses like that, where you're exchanging your goods or your services or your time for money. You know, 100% of your income is reflected in your 100% of your effort, which is always a tricky situation to be in, because if you have to take time off, vacation, kids are sick, I'm sick, whatever, you're not going to earn money. So I was always limited to what I was going to earn, and I was kind of, again, open to other ideas. And then this opportunity came to me by complete chance. My kids actually play baseball, which is pretty unusual here in the UK. And it was one of the other mums at baseball who introduced me to what I do now. And I ended up looking at this opportunity as a way to earn some more money alongside what I was doing before. And also as an opportunity where there would be no ceiling on what I could earn. And it was like the perfect mix. It enabled me to do this part-time, really flexibly when I wanted to. And also it enabled me to take more time back with my children, so I could reduce my hours doing my wedding cake business, and I ended up increasing my time working what I'm doing at the moment, working on my current business. I absolutely have fallen in love with it. I'm so passionate about this industry that I work in. But the most important thing, which I think we're going to lead on to for a lot of this, the rest of this chat that we're having, is everything that's brought me within that industry is how it's changed me as a person. And everything that I've done before, like I said at the beginning, has led to this point. All the skills that I've learned, my childhood experience and everything has kind of come together so nicely even at my age, I mean, I'm mid-40s, I don't mind saying, I'm not one of these women that's going to hide behind, you know, an age. It's just a number. I've never felt better. And I honestly thought that I would never, it wouldn't take me this long to get to the point where I found my absolute passion and purpose in life. Nor did I think it would take this long to, I don't know, I just didn't expect something to come to me at this age where it really completely changed everything and turned everything around for me as a business person, as a woman, just as a person, and all the learning that I've had. So it's been absolutely incredible. And the last 2 years doing this has just been, yeah, it's changed me and my mindset, and therefore it's made me just a much better person and somebody that really is passionate about sharing everything I've learned with as many people as possible. It's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I'm like, I want to get up, I want to share, I'm excited. If I can help and make a big contribution, that's my goal. And, you know, in no other kind of part of my life have I ever had the opportunity to have such a huge impact. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to share some of that as well.
Yeah, and I you hear that sometimes where they say that when you kind of reach that place of, what I hear is, you know, feeling really comfortable and confident in your skin and having something that you're excited about, and that you really enjoy doing, that when we kind of land on that place of kind of being in the flow of everything and feeling that confidence, that's when oftentimes we want to then go out and spread the word, if you will. Like, we want to go out and help others feel the way that we now do, because
I mean, why would you not want to when you've been in this so much and it's had such a profound effect? Yeah, I just know that what I do can have such a massive impact on other people, and that's why I'm just, yeah, really like confident to share it, really passionate about sharing it. Yeah, it's been everything, and completely unexpectedly, like completely. And that's the most beautiful thing about it, I guess. Really, it's just like sometimes you do have to be open, like you have to be open to things.
yeah.
You know, I've always been quite open to things. I usually say yes to things because I always have a big belief that you just don't know where it's going to lead. Like, we met and I've said yes, and you just don't know, do you? You just kind of, I think it's really important to be open-minded and just see what happens with the choices that you make, as long as they're good choices and they make sense to you, and they still, you know, they're not completely non-serving. I think it's really good to be, yeah, definitely keep your eyes open, your mind open to stuff that's going on. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I think that's a huge lesson in your story, because, you know, you brought up the idea of passion and purpose. And I think so many of us can relate to that feeling, especially right out of school. I had the exact same thing, especially I changed majors. It was something that felt more practical, but I didn't feel as much passion. And I really worried. I started, you know, this quest or search for passion, thinking I almost couldn't start my life until I found my passion.
Yeah.
And I feel like your story is such a good example of, it reminds me of a quote from a life designer or someone who teaches life design and design thinking, where they say, you don't know everything, but we do know some things. So let's start there. So
that's amazing. Yeah.
I feel like I hear that in your story, where you kind of had these ideas of the type of life you wanted to create. You know, I hear that of wanting that financial freedom, wanting to have time with your family. And so the fact that you were, two things I hear: one, being really involved in your community. A lot of those opportunities sounds like they came from the community that you were in and participated and engaged and showed up in, and then being open to it, to the ideas that were coming.
I've always been the kind of person that is just going to jump in, and I kind of worry about things afterwards, but I do appreciate not everybody feels that way. But in my experience, it's just, I think, like you said, often we wait for life and circumstances to be completely perfect. And that is just a form of procrastination, because it holds us back. It stops us from actually moving forward. But yeah, I think it's, we so grow up with this idea. It's like school, college, job for life. There is another way, and it's like, why be slave to somebody else's routine? And, you know, when there is another way to actually have the most and create the most incredible life. And I'm all for championing and supporting women and men and all genders to have the most incredible life possible. You know, I just think, why settle? If you've got an amazing life right now, why not make it really amazing? Like, why not? Always aim higher and higher. If I can do anything to help support that, yeah, count me in. I'm there 100%.
So, and you mentioned that, you know, that conversation that you and your husband had sitting at the table and kind of brainstorming different things you could do.
Oh my goodness, so many things, crazy things, yeah.
I've, you know, I've been there. I know a lot of folks have been there too and had those conversations. And in my experience, kind of on the innovation side, I see how powerful having those conversations is, that it may not be at that kitchen table where you're going to have that, like that $100 million idea, if you will, but it's setting out, it's the plan that really matters. It's the asking questions. But I think what can be tough for a lot of people is almost having patience after, you know, if that bright idea doesn't come right away, but you know you want something else. I mean, how did you navigate that space of unknown while you were?
It was really difficult. We came up with some crazy ideas, things that I just, and my husband was just like, why don't you just buy something and sell it? You know, it was kind of, let's just find something. We looked at all kinds of things like, oh my goodness, things from children's bikes to widgets to, oh, you know, and then this cake idea came along. But yeah, it was, I guess it was patience, you're so right. And it was about waiting for the right thing to come along at the right time. And I guess I always had this sense, I think I knew deep down that something would come to me, and I knew that success would come to me. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but just with a sense of calm, with that sense of patience, and being open to it, I think is the biggest thing. Like, just like I said before, say yes to opportunities, like, because you know, you might meet somebody or have a conversation with somebody that leads to something that you just couldn't even have predicted. And that's why I'm such a huge believer in saying yes to things. Go to the meetings, go to the parties, go to the business conventions that you're invited to, go to the you know, the birthday parties, the backyard barbecues. Say yes to those things, because you just don't know who is going to, you know, who you're going to meet, what spark they might ignite in you, or what conversation they might invite you to have, or show you something that just could completely change your life. And that is what happened with me with my current business that I have. It was literally standing next to another mom at the baseball field, which was complete coincidence. I mean, I might have never met her, and we just got chatting, and that's how, you know, that's how this started. You know, it can be as simple as that, and your life can literally change in a minute, in the blink of an eye. So just keep your mind open to it 100%.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I've read in your story before, or heard from you, where you kind of mentioned that at one point you thought, I think it was after you had your sons, at one period that you thought, well, this is it, you know, this is my life, this is kind of my state of being. And of course, there's going to be so many things that you loved probably in that moment, but what changed? Like, what changed your perspective in terms of thinking, actually, I still have growth to do, or I still have more challenges to take on?
That's so easy to answer, because I always thought I had more growth to do. I just knew this wasn't it.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I've always been ambitious. Like, I think it's to do with my background, my childhood, just always wanting to break out and have, like, I think it was a sense of having to prove something, or to show that I could succeed. I could do this on my own. I didn't need my parents to validate anything. I didn't need them to, like, tell me that, to help me or assist me. I wanted to do this all on my own. Yeah, I was, you know, I really loved making my wedding cakes. I absolutely loved that business. It was creative. It was really fulfilling. It was a lovely business. It was very hard work. Like, this is another thing that kind of I used to get, oh, it's a horrible phrase you say, it's not fair. I was working so many long hours, like into the night, weekends, for very little financial return, and kind of earning less than the minimum wage, really. And you said there's more to me than this. So I kind of always had that sense of there had to be more. And I just couldn't picture myself like when my eldest child learned to drive, or when he went off to college, or I think I cannot imagine I'm still making cakes when that time comes around. I was like, it cannot happen. Please, it can't happen. So I was absolutely open. And I think that's the whole thing. It's like, if you know there's more, if you know there's a change you need to make, it's about being open to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, just seeing what comes in. And I know that sounds very kind of woo-woo and it's a bit out there, but honestly, that's how most people make those huge changes in their life, because they just are open to it. They're not closed. They're not in their own little box, in their normal routine where that's all they want to see. You know, they're looking, they're waiting, and they are having, you know, it's a lot about contacts and communicating with other people as well. But I kind of just, I knew that there was something else out there. So funnily enough, when this opportunity did come to me, I actually said no to start with, because I had the usual objections that I was too busy, I couldn't take on something else. But I was soon shown that that's absolutely, you know, not the truth. It was so easy to do this, and I've never been afraid of hard work. So that's the other thing. I think, you know, a lot of people expect things to come to them without putting the effort in. I think it's, let's be honest, you don't get anything without hard work, you know, otherwise it's just not worth it, is it? Who want, you know, what's the phrase? You know, nothing comes easy, but who wants nothing? So
right. That's a good phrase. Yeah,
exactly. It's so true. So true.
And I think that what you pointed out there, I will probably be reassuring for a lot of people, because I think, you know, of course there's, you know, your childhood experiences and what sounds like this ambition from very early on that really gave you kind of this motivation and push. But for someone who maybe isn't feeling that motivation or isn't feeling that push, or doesn't feel that optimism, right? It kind of shows that you don't have to be, you know, Jim Carrey and yes man, saying yes to everything, or you don't have to be, you know, the glass is always full. Like there's room for maybe skepticism, or maybe, you know, the fact that at one point you thought, well, maybe this is it. But that simultaneously, what I think is so cool about your story is that simultaneously you knew. Even if I think sometimes it's just like a whisper or a nudge, and then sometimes it gets really strong, but there's that knowing that there's something else there that that's going to be more aligned with your vision. And maybe at one point the cakes were in your vision, but then at some point, because you tried it, right? You prototyped, you created it, you went out and did the thing, and you probably learned a lot from it. And you also learned what wasn't working. Like that, I'm looking for a different business model here. Yeah. And so that was, you know, some people can call it kind of woohoo, like putting out into the universe or having faith in something bigger. And yeah. I think that's a beautiful way to see it. And for those that also are looking for maybe a little bit more science or logic, if you will, yeah. That's there too. You knew that it wasn't aligned enough to start looking for something different and to start seeking that next thing, but that because you put in the time and got those experiences, that, you know, also informed a lot, probably your decision making, it sounds like, down the road.
I think a lot of it is mindset as well. A lot of it is to do with having that strength and confidence, and that is not easy. I wish that I could just say to everybody that's listening and everybody that's watching, you can do this. You are so worthy. You know, whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve, because I've proven that. I started from absolutely nowhere with no experience that was going to lead me naturally to what I'm doing now. But just keep, you know, whatever you want to do is so possible, absolutely possible. There's podcasts, there's books, there's people that can educate you, there's motivators, there's coaches. There are people out there, resources that are free and not free, that can really help you. You just have to go and find them. And if there's anything that, you know, I can help with in terms of directing you to the right place, I'd love to do that, as I'm sure you have plenty of resources yourself as well. You know, but it's just, yeah, everything's possible if you just put your mind to it. I really believe that 100%.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up, because let's get into that. Let's get into some
Okay.
of these resources that people can apply if they're at kind of that phase of wanting to get more intentional with their time and outcomes. Okay, let's say someone wants to do something similar. Let's say they want to start their own company, they want to be their own boss. Or I also will throw this out there too, because I think so often when we talk about being our own boss, we think entrepreneurs, we think CEOs of your own, starting your new, like the next startup. And I think that we can decide, we can work in 9 to 5 and decide to be our own boss in our life, right? So when we go there, yes, we are catering to the vision of a larger corporation or company, and working within those constraints, but we always have flexibility to think about what's next, or what do I want to do in addition to. So I think a lot of the skills that you can help people with, if they have a completely open schedule and they're fully their own boss, or if they're just assigned to be their own boss of their, that extra time and creating boundaries at work to be able to start to work on something in addition to. Either way, I think that this will be super helpful for those folks.
And when you are an entrepreneur or have your own business, or you are doing something in addition to your, whatever, you're taking control of your own business and your destiny, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because in one hand, you have that flexibility, like you said, you are in charge and you can take that time off. So if you want to go to the gym, or you want to go out for lunch with friends, whatever, you can. But the other side of the coin is that you have to be super disciplined, like you said. You really have to set yourself tasks and a timetable. And there are two kind of practices that I use every single day that I've learned over the last couple of years that have completely helped me to focus. So when I work on my business, and I don't work on this full time, this is very much, this whole point of what I do is that it can be a part-time thing. It enables me to free up so much of my day to do the things that I want to do, like go on my Peloton or go out for lunch with my friends, or whatever it is that I want to do. But I work on my business and I'm very focused, and I do two things. Number one is that I treat my work time like an appointment. It literally goes into my phone diary, as if it's an appointment, and it's unmovable. You would never move a doctor's appointment, you wouldn't move a hair appointment, or any kind of appointment like that. So at that time, I plan out every single Sunday night, what is my next 5 days going to look like, and I put my work time into my diary, and I have blocks of time. We call them like power hours. So I work a couple of power hours a day, and I just put them into my diary. And sometimes it might be a half an hour and a half an hour, it might be split, but whatever that is, it goes into my diary, and it's absolutely non-negotiable that that is moving. It's not changing no matter what. The other distractions go off. I switch off notifications. I am completely focused in that time, because I take my business seriously. I take what I do really seriously, because I know what a massive impact it's having. So I want to make the most of that time. And I also want to be super efficient, so that in that time, I know that then once I've done that work, I can go and pick my children up from school, or I can go and watch them play hockey, or I can go and do whatever it is that I want to do in my non-work hours during the day, which is amazing. So it is about being completely disciplined with your timetable. And the other thing that I've really kind of learned fairly recently, actually, in the last 6 months or so, is to, every time you do sit down and have a block of work, is to think, what are the 3 tasks that I need to accomplish today? So what are the 3 things that I really, really do need to do, no matter what, that is going to move my business forward? So what are the 3 most important tasks? Now, usually they are the same thing for me. It's usually the same kind of level bits of activity, but I stick them up on sticky notes. I have them on my wall or on my laptop, and I just rip them off, tear them off when they're done. And it's about being really smart with what are the 3 things that are going to move your business forward that you must get done today. It's just being sensible, and so it's efficient, and it's organized, and it's dedicated to that time. And when you sit down, that's what you get done. So yeah.
I love that. That's really helpful. That reminds me a lot of the one thing, kind of where you can, not trying to do a million things at once, and just focusing on, okay, what absolutely has to get done, so that I can feel free to then be present when I go with my family, or when I,
And
switch.
3 things is doable. You know, 3 things is not, it's not an endless to-do list, which we've all got to-do lists and they never get ticked off completely, do they? But if you can just focus on just those 3 key things, you feel so much better as well, and you feel like you're doing something that is moving things forward for sure.
Yeah. Do you have any routines that you kind of start off with during your day, or is there some flexibility there in terms of?
You mean like a morning routine kind of thing? Is that yeah, so absolutely. So when I first was introduced to something that we call the Miracle Morning, there is actually an incredible book by Hal Elrod called The Miracle Morning, which I absolutely recommend 100% that everybody reads, because it's an incredible book in terms of setting your intentions for the day. It teaches you how to win the morning, win the day. Okay, so that's the whole process behind this. You win the morning, you win the day. And I was first introduced to this concept of this miracle morning when I first started working with my company that I'm with now, just over 2 years ago. And I absolutely resisted it because I was very much, I'm not a morning person. I'm not going to get up and do this. I had this concept of kind of waking up like sleepy-eyed in the middle of the night in the dark and just doing all this stuff that I just didn't want to do. And I really resisted it. But I saw over time the impact that this was having on people's businesses, on their levels of happiness, on their life outside of work as well. And I thought, really, how can something that is so simple that happens in the morning actually have such a massive impact on everything, really? So I decided, when we went into lockdown last year, we went into lockdown in March 2020 for the very first time here in the UK, and I thought, right, this is the perfect opportunity to give this a go. I'm in the house, I don't have to do the school run, my kids are here, I'm going to get up and I'm going to try this thing. Absolutely changed everything. And I gave it 30 days because they say 30 days is what you need to do, establish a habit. And I love it so much. It's become such an integral part of my life, my day. It's almost like brushing your teeth. Like, imagine if you don't brush your teeth in the morning, how disgusting do you feel for the rest of the day? You feel gross, don't you? You just feel like, can you imagine getting up, getting out of bed, and just not brushing your teeth? You would just feel so bad. And it really feels like that. Genuinely, it feels, if I don't do this morning routine, I am so off for the day. So yeah, it comprises, it's very, very simple. And it comprises, and you can really kind of play around with this, what works best for you in terms of your timetable, all that kind of thing. But it comprises of a little bit of exercise, some reading something that is going to help you either spiritually or with your business, doing some gratitude, so writing down things that you're grateful for, and also then meditation. So again, that might not be your thing, but just be open to it, because just 10 minutes of meditation is so calming. And having that time at the start of the day to just like feel so good about yourself, center yourself, become calm. And for me, the most important thing is a gratitude, because for the rest of your day, you've done your exercise, you've had that moment of calm, you've set your intentions for the day, and you can walk into the rest of the day feeling so grateful about everything that you've got around you. And it honestly is, it's life-changing. Like I said, it's become so ingrained in my daily habits. It's as important as brushing my teeth, like I said, or eating or having a shower. It has to happen. It absolutely has to happen. Even at the weekends now, I tend to still get up and go for a walk and put my podcasts in and listen to something and motivational, and then kind of just have a moment of calm and do some reading. I just love it. It's just a great feeling. So I definitely recommend that book, Hal Elrod, Miracle Morning. Just take a look and see how you can integrate it into your life, even if it's just for half an hour, because it will completely change the way you look at the world and the rest of your day.
Thank you for that tip. Yeah, because I think I've heard so much about, supporting exactly what you just said in terms of having that routine in the morning to have that really good headspace to walk into the rest of the day. But it does sometimes require a reminder. I know for me, I can get out of my habit. So I love hearing about the benefits and some of the examples of what we can do in a book, also a resource to be able to go to for that.
Yeah, no, it's just about becoming a habit. And again, it's something that I never had ever heard about. It's just opened my mind to within this industry. I think a lot of people in network marketing do a miracle morning because they know that, I mean, our business is 80% mindset. And so it's so important to really focus your mind and to have those good intentions for the day. It absolutely is everything. So I would definitely give it a go. Come on, you can do it. Yeah.
And that's the perfect way to start, especially if you're going to go into maybe some harder challenges. So whether it's running your own business or scheduling your own day, as that seems to really help you set up, or going into maybe a less than perfect job that you want to at least bring the best energy possible to it.
Even if you are setting yourself a challenge, it could be completely unrelated to business. It could be like you want to train for a marathon.
Yeah.
Or it could be that you are wanting to lose some weight, or it could be that any kind of goal that you have, it really kind of lets you focus and just gives that positivity to what you are aiming to achieve. So I highly recommend win the morning, win the day. That's what I've been taught. It is so true.
I love that. And that you brought up another thing I wanted to ask you about, of, where it could really, your challenges that you might be taking on might vary. What would you say to the folks that, let's say this idea of doing a marathon is there in their mind, but there's also 20 to 20 million other ideas swirling around in there. And so it's just a matter of kind of knowing what's the next step, knowing what do I want to invest my time in. I think I've heard you talk about different exercises for building clarity, and just making a really tangible thing to be able to start to get clarity around that in order to get organized, right? To take the next step. Can you walk us through?
Yeah, sure. Clarity is everything. Clarity is so important. And I think going back to what you were asking me before, I could have maybe kind of slipped this in there, because when I did not know what I wanted to do, when I was sitting at the kitchen table going, where am I going? What am I going to do? How am I going to achieve what I want to achieve? I have no idea. Clarity and kind of sitting down and really thinking about this. I've got a tool that I'll explain. It would have really helped at that time, but obviously I've only been shown it very recently in the company that I'm in, and some training and coaching that I had externally actually that I did, which was incredible, that they kind of put me onto. And it has so defined my purpose, where I want to go, who I am, and how I interact with people as well. And I think having that clarity, if you can just sit down, it's a really quick exercise. It's 10 minutes. Well, it will take you however long it takes you, but you can do it quickly. And it's just, do take some time over it, but just jot some rough ideas down to start with, have a think, because these are the markers that are going to define where you're going to go next. Okay. And I heard a phrase recently, which was that your mindset is the compass to your life. And if you can have a clear mind and know where you're going, you will know where you are going. So there's 3 parts to it, 3 words for each of those 3 parts. So grab a piece of paper and have, jot this down, take some time, like I said, but it's good to brainstorm sometimes as well, just to get those first things down, those things that come out from your gut, from your instinct, what you're kind of thinking. So the first thing is 3 words that kind of define who you are, yourself. So who are you? And for me, I'll share my words. My words are energy, confidence, and kindness. And that is really how I want to show up. So how do you want to show up? I show up with a lot of energy. It's a lot for some people. Some people are like, can you dial it down, please? I am so full of life. I'm so excited about life. I've never felt better, physically, so I just feel great. And I'm so passionate now. Obviously, I've found my purpose, so I'm full of energy about it. Confidence, again, that comes with time. I'm very confident about where I'm going. And it's not self-confidence in an arrogant way. It's confidence in terms of knowing my purpose, and confidence in and sharing that confidence, instilling confidence into other people. And that's what I was saying earlier. I really truly believe that you are able to do whatever you set your mind to. And if I can help instill that confidence into someone, absolutely. And kindness, because I think kindness is everything. I've always been known to be kind. People tell me I'm kind. I'm so grateful they do, because it's how I really like to show up. I'm generous. I like to give. So what defines you? What are the words that define you? How you are, as you know, in your core, how are you projecting yourself? So that's the first thing. The next three words are how you interact with people. So, you know, how do you want to actually have that relationship with people when you're talking to people, or when you're giving out to people? What is it that you want to project? So those interactions, and my words are inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
I want to inspire people. I want to be able to listen. I think it's so important to listen to people. I do. I'm a good listener. I think that goes back to when I was in my recruitment days, listening to what people were looking for in a job. People often come to me as a friend because I feel that I'm good at listening, and uplifting. That's my third word. I like to make people feel good about themselves. So yeah, what are the three words that really define how you engage with people in life? And that's, you know, just think about that, and that's going to help you to work out how you are going to show up as a person, I guess, and what your relationships are going to be like, and what you want to really kind of give out when you are doing your job, or whatever it is that your kind of day-to-day routine is, whether that's as a parent, whatever that is in life. And the third kind of section is three words that kind of, what makes you successful? What are your success markers? So what are the three things that you believe about you, your attributes that made you a success in whatever field that is? Now, that again, that does not have to be business related. You could be an incredible wife, sister, daughter, son, brother, parent, whatever that is. You could be incredible at your vocation. You know, you could be incredible at being on the school committee. You could be incredible being in part of your church community, or part of your business community at work, whatever that is. But what are the three things that you have, your attributes, that really kind of tell people that you know why you're good at that? So for me, I am tenacious. I always never give up. I think we've probably learned that by now. I am ambitious. I've always wanted to succeed, and I think ambitious as well. I'm just going to say, on this side note, it's not a dirty word. Ambitious, and being ambitious is a really good thing. And I do think, as women particularly, we're not allowed to say that because it makes us sound greedy. And I just feel like, please be ambitious if you want to be. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever, because ultimately your ambition can do really good things for the world.
Right.
And the third thing is effort. I'm really always about, I will put 100% effort into absolutely everything. So just to recap, so three words that define like yourself, and three words about how you interact with people, and then three words that are your success markers. And if you can kind of just think of those things, you can use those words to define maybe why you're doing what you're doing, why you might want to do something different, where you want to go. So it's just a really simple tool to just help you to maybe have a bit of direction if you're not sure where you're going in life, or even to reflect on where you are right now and think, is this everything? Is this where I want to be? So I hope that's helpful.
Oh, that's really helpful. I love that. And one thing I really like about the examples you gave is that you can see that they're, for one, really positive reminders. So the fact that you have them defined, I'm sure I know for me, when I do exercises like this, there are plenty of times where I might notice myself not showing up the way that I know myself to truly be. And it's just a good reminder. But another thing I really like about yours, though, is that they feel so authentic. Like, it doesn't feel like you're, saying, oh, I want to be energetic. Yeah. So, and it feels, forced, and it's actually draining you. No, like that seems like that is your very natural kind of leaning as something natural that comes to you. That's
important. Yeah, don't force it. It has to be built. It's the same, this is for you. You're not doing it for anybody else. You're not going to hand it into your teacher for a grade A or anything like that. It's for you. So you have to be authentic. And if you struggle, speak to a friend, a partner, someone close to you if you're not sure. Because sometimes I think it's easy for people to tell us how they view us than for us to dig deep and reflect on our own personality attributes and traits. Sometimes we find it quite difficult, don't we, to go, oh, what am I really like? So definitely do this with a friend. you could sit down and do it together actually and help each other out. But it has to be true to you. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, because we all have our own superpowers, right? So that's
we do.
all have something different that is
I like that phrase.
to the table. Yeah. And I think I really like, I actually was wondering the same thing myself. I like the idea that you brought up of, if say we're, going through the practice, because of course it's always worth going through the practice and brainstorming, even if the ideas aren't flowing right away. I think it's super helpful just to do and let yourself start to see what comes up. Like you said, even if it's just from intuition or gut, but it can be hard sometimes when we're like, well, like, what are the true things to me? And so I think having someone else to brainstorm with, or to say, well, this is what I see, is so helpful, because also it helps us not only have support in the process, but also to check into getting better and better at seeing what resonates. So we still can kind of decipher the truth for ourselves, and it's not that we're looking to an external person to tell us who we are, but oftentimes the people around us, they really do see those beautiful strengths in us, and they're the ones to appreciate it. But we still get to, and hearing that, we get to practice our own kind of resonance tool, if you will, our resonance compass, to see, okay, does that feel like something that I really want to carry with me every day as a reminder of like who I am?
So I've just remembered something as well, actually. So there was an exercise within network marketing industry around December where we were asked to go onto Facebook, and I know this is not everybody is going to feel comfortable with this, but literally ask their followers to say, look, I'm doing an exercise where I have to define myself in 3 words. Can you please tell me what you think? And it's quite a brave thing to go onto Facebook. It might not be for everybody. You could apply this by asking a group of, different groups of friends. But yeah, what came back was very interesting. What came back with the 3 words that I defined myself. And it was a brilliant exercise, because it just showed me that I was being true to myself. But you can try that yourself as well, like get some feedback. But I think this whole thing just helps you to work out who you are.
Yeah.
And that is a huge part of life, isn't it? Working out, who are we? Why are we here? What can we do? And it's something that takes time. And if it helps just steer you a little bit in the right direction.
Thank you so much you are such a supportive person for people to have around, and such a great energy. And I can tell, I think that's already kind of going towards the next question. Something I love to ask people to see, of course, we're talking about designing our own lives and getting intentional in our lives. And also thinking of, kind of like you mentioned before with ambition, of the more we kind of step into our own kind of true purpose and true selves, the more we can make a positive impact in the world. So that all leads me to asking you, when it comes to the future, what design do you have in mind?
Oh my goodness, that's a huge question. So again, it has, but this last 6 months I've really started to define this. I've come into my own, and it's what gets me out of bed every single morning, because what I do now gives people an opportunity to change their lives in a way that gives them the choice. And I am so passionate about helping as many people as I can to just have that option. Where do they want to go in life? Where do they want to go with their business life, their career, their personal life? And I've seen huge life changes happen within my team. Things where, for example, where they've had a very difficult domestic situation, they've been able to get out of because of the business that I've helped them to build. And that is not at all what I expected from this. I expected to start this business for financial reasons, because I wanted to contribute and all those kind of things. But never in a million years did I start to think that this could have actual life-changing impact on other people, to their family circumstances, to their ability to maybe take their kids to their first vacation for 10 years, buy a car for the very first time. Oh my goodness, I never expected that. So as time's gone on and I've seen those things happen that I have had a hand in, I want to do this more. I want to do this so much because I am a huge believer in my industry. I am so passionate about it because of the things I have seen happen and the impact it can make. And I really, really genuinely want to help as many people to have that in their lives as well, because it's everything. You know, money is great, but choice is better, because choice gives you the ability to, well, money gives you the choice sometimes, and then choice gives you the ability to really change your life if you have to or want to. And that is everything. So that is where I'm going. I want to change thousands of lives. I'd love to be coaching. I'd love to train. I already do quite a bit of training for our nation, kind of on Monday night calls. I do a lot of training for that. I'm really, really grateful to be asked to do that. But I just love it. I'm so passionate. I love sharing my knowledge, sharing what I've learned. And yeah, I'd love to kind of coach and just support as many people as I can. That's the direction I want to go in. So,
oh, that's beautiful.
Question.
I love a lot of things about that, but one in particular that sticks out is that I love that you started off with wanting to contribute to your own family. And so, kind of taking this path because you saw it had what seemed like good financial rewards and seemed like a financially kind of practical or sound thing to do after looking at the model and based on your background. And so it started off as this very good intentioned, but kind of within your realm of kind of individual or family, that unit kind of. And because you committed to that next goal, you committed to, I'm going to do something that's going to contribute to my family. That then opened you to new opportunities to see, oh, wow, when I step into my own commitment, I can now really step in even further to help impact other people's lives and to contribute to this design. If I'm hearing correctly, it sounds to me like the design that you have in mind is a world where people are empowered to make the right choices for themselves and their lives and their family.
That is on my whiteboard in my office. It's to empower. That's the exact word, is to empower as many women as possible to have that choice in life. And honestly, you're so right. If you'd met me 2.5 years ago, I'm a completely different person. I was shy. I would never talk, ever have done this. You'd have had to pay me millions of dollars. I had absolutely zero confidence in my own abilities, never wanted to speak in public. And just by being open, like you said, coachable and learning and growing, it's led to where I am today. And that is open to everybody. That's something that everybody can achieve. I'm not saying that you have to be the most confident person who wants to stand on stage and speak or anything like that, but the growth and the change and the ability to move forward is open to everybody. So if you're open to it yourself.
Yeah. And I know just one last thing that I love about your story that this reminds me of is that, I think a lot of times on social media, and since we have this look into so many people's lives, we see the kind of polished, I went from A to B in 6 months, or from A to B in 2 years. And that's really compelling. It's really empowering, because oftentimes when people tell those stories, they do teach us some of the how, right? How they did it. But I love your story too, because it shows, even though 2.5 years ago, maybe you didn't feel as confident or you didn't feel ready to speak on stages like you would be now, there was still that kind of grit and tenacity and that really powerful theme of belief and knowing that still led you to where you were 2.5 years ago to start taking those steps.
If I can be the poster child for if anybody can do this, because it's been a journey from childhood to get to where I am now, like not just in the last 2.5 years really, but also just a journey of like showing up consistently and just believing that if you work hard, you can achieve it. And this is why I really want to breathe that into anybody. If you are willing to, if you want something, you can achieve it. You've just got to get out there and grow and do what you need to do, because that's my message. That's my message. So
thank you so much, Helen. Thank you for sharing your message with us and your really inspiring story. and all of your tips and tools that you've learned along the way that you're now sharing with others to gain clarity and momentum in our own lives and organization and wonderful mornings.
Yeah.
So for folks that want to learn more from you or stay connected, where can people find you?
Instagram is the best place. It's where I kind of hang out most of the time on social media. It's just at Helen Thacker. I'm sure you'll see my name on here anyway for the spelling. It's that simple. So go and find me there. Yeah, I'd love to get some messages. Come and say hi. Please, drop me a DM, say hello. I'd love to meet you, and I, like I said, respond to all my messages. So I am happy to help however I can. So yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Helen.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited. Yeah, honestly, I was like incredible to be asked to do this. So thank you, Bridget. I really, really appreciate it. It's been really, really, really wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much for your time and joining us.